Hi, today I'm going to show you the Naviate Slope Pattern. The Slope Pattern command can create a slope pattern between two lines, polylines, 3D polylines, or feature lines. My first example right now is a corridor. It's a fairly simple corridor. It has a side slope that varies along its length, so I'm going to create a slope pattern for this. So I'm going to start by just turning off my corridor in my objects on-off, so I can easily see the exported feature lines here, so I have automatic feature lines here. You can see that I've already created a slope pattern on one side of the corridor, so right now I'm going to do a matching slope pattern here, and that's the important part. I want these slope patterns to synchronize all along the corridor. So when I start the slope pattern command, I'm going to select a from line and then a to line. This determines the direction of the slope pattern. And then I can select a frequency line. And this is the important part. If I want these patterns to synchronize all along the corridor, I need to have the same frequency line for both slope patterns, which is going to be my middle alignment here. So that's going to be my frequency line. In the dialog, I want to make sure that these slope patterns are perpendicular to the frequency line. And I also want to make sure that I tick apply where from line is above to line. This means that the slope pattern will be created in two chunks, one for cut and one for fill, and the command will check the elevations of the lines to make sure what is what. So I'm going to start by creating the fill one. Since I have this setting already ticked, that means that when I click OK now, the command is going to assume that I want to create the reverse slope pattern, which is going to be the cut. So when I now click yes, it's going to come back to the dialog. Everything is filled in as it should be. I just need to change the layer because now I'm going to do a cut instead. Click OK. And now both my slope patterns are created. And we can see that the pattern synchronizes in the beginning, but also after a couple of bends along the corridor, it synchronizes in the end as well. You can also do slope patterns on closed polylines as I have here. Here I have two 3D polylines that I'm going to create a slope pattern for. Same thing here, I'm going to select a from line and a to line. If I don't have a frequency line, I can just hit enter. That's going to use the from line as the frequency line. And then I'm just going to change my layer here to a fill again. And again, since I have this ticked, when I hit OK, it's going to ask me to create the reverse slope pattern, and then I can always, change the layer inside here as well. And I have these two patterns here. I can also use this functionality on lines that are on the same elevation. In this case, both these lines are on 0. So if I now start the functionality and use the from line to line, hit enter to select the frequency line, when they are on the same elevation, I need to remember to untick apply where from line is above to line, because now they don't have an elevation difference and then I won't get a slope pattern if I have that ticked. So I'm just going to change the layer here to a fill. Click OK, and then I get my slope pattern like that. Remember that you also have edit, so if I want to change my slope pattern in any way, I can use edit slope pattern and I can go back in and I can say, for instance, that I want this to be a tighter frequency. I can also use limited length, which means that if I don't want to have a slope pattern along the entire thing, I can tick limited length, I can use pick, and I can say I want the slope pattern to end over here. When I click OK, I can see that I only get a slope pattern on one part of the lines. These slope patterns are also dynamic, so if I change anything with them, so for instance, if I move a node for my lines, we can see that the slope patterns are updated automatically. The dynamic update works for individual lines, such as 3D polylines and normal polylines, but for corridor feature lines, so automatic corridor feature lines, it doesn't update automatically. So right now I've done a change for my corridor, I rebuilt my corridor, so my feature lines are in a new placement. And we can see that the slope pattern has not updated. So in this case, I need to update them manually, and I can do that from Naviate Explorer. And inside Naviate Explorer, I can find my slope patterns, I can right-click on them, and then I can do update all, and that's just going to update all the slope patterns inside my drawing. If I want to disable the dynamic update for all of them, I can also do that here. Thank you for watching.